Hello there. This video is pretty much, I'm not going to be shaving or anything like that. This is pretty much kind of a bit of a discussion on how to lather for newbies. Understand going into this that these are my opinions. They're based on my experiences, and some things that I see happening in the community. And so the first thing newbies see a lot of times, people try to give them advice and they go, well, swirl your brush on the top of the puck for 30 seconds or swirl your brush on top of the puck for a minute. Now, as soon as I see somebody give advice where they're telling them 30 seconds, a minute, what goes through my head is these people giving advice probably aren't as experienced as they think they are. Now, understand, some people might be saying do it for a minute because they're trying to make them spend a little bit more time with a brush and stuff like that. But there's been a trend in the community where people like to go, well, I swirled my brush on my puck for 15 seconds and got 5 passes worth of lather. Newbies, don't pay any attention to that garbage because that's what it is. It's garbage. I'm sorry. Anybody that's lathered soap long enough knows that soaps are all different. They all take different times to lather. That's like if you see like a comparison where they're comparing a whole bunch of different soaps, and well, we're going to do 30 seconds worth of load on every soap. Well, right there, the comparison is dead because some soaps take a whole lot longer to load in a brush than others, and 30 seconds for one might be overkill, and 30 seconds for another you might not get enough lather in there to lather up the face of a gnat if they've got one. Okay, these arbitrary numbers and time stuff and ideas they're worthless to a beginner. Now, if you've been shaving for a while and you can get an idea really quick, you know what a loaded brush looks like and feels like and all of that, well then yeah, maybe. But for a newbie, telling somebody 10, 15 swirls, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, it's not going to do a darn thing for that newbie to help them to understand how to load a brush. Similarly, well, before we get into the other part of it, my advice to a new wet shaver is to load your brush until you think you've got so much soap in there that you choke a horse on it, and then load it for that amount of time again. Load the living snot out of a brush. There are people in the community that have this idea that they're going to save their soap. The worst thing you can do as a beginner is try to save some soap. Soap is cheap. Even if you spent $50 or $60, even if I spent $60 or $70 on Martin de Condra, okay, the amount of shaves I'm going to get out of that soap just from regular use and not trying to be miserly and stuff like that, it's going to make the price of that soap seem minuscule if you were to count them up for what you get. I'm just saying, so when you've got a $20 puck of soap, don't skimp on it. Don't waste your time. You're wasting your time. You're wasting the experience. You're not going to get as good of an experience out of it. Excuse me, my battery's running low. Let me pause for a minute. I'll be right. Well, I can't pause, but just hold on a minute. All right, I'm back. But look, if you're trying to skimp on soap and make it last, you're going to get crappy shaves. You're going to get crappy lather. You're not going to enjoy that soap for what it is. It's a waste of, it's more of a waste to try to skimp on the soap and load the brush real lightly and try to get as many shaves out of that soap as you possibly can without taking into account that there's a minimum amount of soap that needs to be in that brush to make the proper lather to let you enjoy the scent of that soap and the slickness of that soap and the glide of that soap and all of that. And this idea, look, don't worry about wasting your soap. Load the living snot on your brush. 90% of the problems that people have when they go, well, I can't lather this, it's because you're not putting enough soap in the brush. They say, well, no, you got too much water. No, you didn't get enough soap. That's why you got too much water, because you didn't get enough soap to start with, and it can't handle very much water because you don't have enough soap in your brush. Come on, just load the snot out of it. If you're a beginner, load the living snot out of your brush and then load it some more. That's my advice. Okay, and then you get into stuff where people, there's a guy on YouTube, and AZ Hawk is his name on YouTube. Fantastic guy. Been around a long time. I learned a lot from him when I started wet shaving, stuff like that. But I can't remember his name now. But he's well known in the community. Really awesome gentleman. Anyway, when I first started learning to shave, I was trying to learn to load a brush and make lather like everybody else. Okay. And so I found his channel. He had a video on there how to load a brush, how to tell when your brush is loaded. And he took his boar brush and he loaded it for a while on whatever soap he was using. And then he went there. And of course, there's no soap in this brush, but he went there. You see that? That's a loaded brush. And I thought, well, I got it now. So I ran into my bathroom and I started loading the brush, and I kept looking at it and loading and looking at it. Yeah, that looks right. That's loaded. Went to a bowl. Biggest waste of time on the face of the earth. Could not make a lather worth of crap. And I kept trying to do it by watching that video and really studying it and looking at the end of my brush tips. Oh, that looks just like his. Wasn't a loaded brush. Because there was something about how that soap was in that knot that you're not going to be able to see. That's the other thing that I would tell you is I'm not going to be able to teach you when a brush is loaded on YouTube. Nobody else will either. If they say they can, trust me, try it. You'll find out they can't. Okay? I'm not going to be able to tell you that. I'm not going to be able to teach you how much soap is enough soap in your brush. And I'm not, because your knot might be bigger, it might be smaller, it might be a different type of fiber, a million other things, okay? Your soap might be different, all kinds of stuff. Some soap you can hit just a little bit and have all kinds of lather. Some soap you need to load like a big dog in order to get anything out of it. The point of it is the only way, and this is something people don't want to tell you because it's not popular, okay? And they want to be able to say, well, I can teach you everything, and I know everything, and I'm really experienced, and just follow me. Well, hogwash, okay? The only way you're going to know how to load a brush is if you load one over and over and over again till you get it right, and then do it over and over and over again the right way. And pretty soon what will happen is you'll begin to feel what the tips of that brush feels like on the puck of soap when a brush is loaded. You'll be able to begin, and I could tell you what I feel and all. It's not going to get you there. The only thing that's going to get you there is you. Okay? You'll be able to feel, I can feel the difference in the weight of the brush, the balance of this brush, or any other brush that I use when I have a good amount of soap in that knot. I can feel it. Okay? But I can't teach you that. You know, my best advice is the first advice that I can think of that I ever gave, and it's the advice that I would give you right now, standing here talking to you. If you're new and you're trying to figure out how to load a brush and how much is a loaded brush and trying to learn to lather and stuff like that, go get you a puck of Vanderhagen Deluxe or any of the Vanderhagen soaps, okay, from the grocery store for $2-3, or the drugstore, or wherever it is you find it. Vanderhagen, the reason I say Vanderhagen is because I know you can get a good, nice, stable lather out of Vanderhagen really easily once you learn how to load a brush. So, they're not the greatest soap on the face of the earth, but they're a good, solid, serviceable soap that won't give you any issues, unlike a soap like Williams that you basically have to learn how to lather that particular soap. Vanderhagen's not like that, and you can get a good, solid lather from it once you learn basic technique. But go buy you a puck of Vanderhagen soap and get you a brush. I don't care what kind it is, whichever one you chose, boar, badger, cent, horse, whatever you chose, whatever you've got. Because there are a bit of differences between how all those different brushes load, but it doesn't matter. You don't need to know that. You just need to know how to load the brush you got. Okay. Stand in front of a sink. Get your brush good and wet. If it's a boar, soak it for a minute or two. Okay. And load that brush and start making lather. Now, that's why this is one of the reasons I like bowl lathering for a beginner, because if you do what I'm fixing to tell you for 45 minutes and end up doing this right here on your face for 45 minutes trying to make a face lather over and over and over again, you're not going to shave for a couple of days because your face is going to be raw, unless you're using something like a scent that's really soft, or a really, really soft badger. You take one of these boar knots that's got a really good backbone. They're soft, but they've got a really good backbone to them. And you do enough of that, you're going to get what they call brush burn, and you're not going to like it. But however you choose to do it, you need to stand at a sink, load that brush up, and make a lather. And your lathers are going to be poorer, they're going to be sad, they're going to get better and better as you try it. Empty the dadgum brush of the lather, rinse it out thoroughly, and get it the same wetness that you did the first time. Go back to the puck, try again. Until I did that, what I did after I got frustrated with everybody trying to show me on YouTube how to do it, and realized that they weren't going to teach me, that I had to learn on my own. That was the only way. The only way that I was going to do it is to experience for myself what it was like, and stop trying to follow instructions. You just do. Okay. I went out and I bought me a couple pucks actually, Vanderhagen soap, and I lathered that soap until it was so small that I could hardly do anything with it. Okay. I stood at the sink. It took a couple of tries, couple of days. I stood at the sink for an hour or two, at least a couple of times, till I hit on a beautiful lather. And then what I did was I lathered more and more and more after that, until I knew after 10 or 12 tries of consistently getting a good load in a brush and consistently getting a good lather off that soap, that I had the technique. And that's the only way you're going to do it. I'm sorry. Now, you can do it that way, or you can spend 9 months asking people on the forums and Facebook, why can't I get a good lather? You know, we're a society now that wants things easy. Many of us, and I'm not saying anything bad, I'm not trying to cause any controversy, but many of us want stuff handed to us. You know, I want a brush that's magic. And, you know, this idea of the synthetic brushes. Oh, synthetic brushes, they make lather better and faster. And no, they don't. Sorry. They do make a little bit, they do require less soap and all. But I would rather have lather off a badger brush any day of the week. Sorry. It's just there's a way in which the badger hairs handle water that's different than the way the synthetic fibers handle the water, and the lather's different. It's not better or worse, it's just different. But that's the deal. You know, what was I saying? What was the point I was trying to make? I hate when that happens. There's just a lot of stuff that's out there that, you know, people spend all kind of time with, and I'm not knocking, I use them too, with creams and soft soaps that lather real easy, and they don't have any problem with them. And look, if your goal is to get a good lather and just shave, that's fine. Well, my goal is to experience as much as I can of what wet shaving has to offer me, and that includes hard pucks of soap, okay? Not just creams and Italian soft soaps and stuff like that, okay? Or French soft soaps, or you know, that's just one tiny little corner. Yeah, there's 1,000 different kinds of them, and they're wonderful different scents and stuff like that. And like I say, probably half of my soap stash is stuff like that, is the soft soaps, because they're wonderful. I'm not knocking them. But you get somebody that's lathered Proraso or Sella or Razor Rock or any, they've done that. You know, and when I say Proraso, I say Proraso cream. I don't know how hard the actual puck of Proraso is. I suspect that it's fairly hard. But I'm talking about the cream. Okay, they've lathered that. They've lathered the Italian soft soaps, Razor Rock, Cella, stuff like Katie's Bubbles, their French formula, or the other, just the soft soaps. They've done that for 9 months or 10 months, and all of a sudden they buy a puck of Mitchell's Wool Fat or some other hard soap, and they can't make lather for anything in the world, and they don't understand. I don't understand. This soap must be bad. No, there's nothing wrong with either of those soaps. You don't know how to lather a hard soap because all you did was take the easy way out for the last 9 months or a year. And you know what? Bless you. I'm not trying to start anything. I don't want to offend anybody. I'm just telling you what I believe. Okay? I believe that a lot of times that's the problem, is that we've gone the easiest way we could. That's like, oh, start a beginner off with a 3-inch drop. That way they don't have to learn the extra. Well, what happens when you don't have that 3-inch drop? Okay? It happens sometimes. What happens when you have to use your belt in a hotel room because you brought your straight but you forgot your strap? Okay? What happens if you put a big fat slice in your strap? And I mean, it's just, dude, challenge yourself a little bit and stick to something until you make it work. If you know that all the signs and all the information and everything you get points to the case of, hey, this product is a good product. It's well respected by a huge number of people. I can't make it work, so I need to stick with it till I learn how to do it. That's just, if you're going to start wet shaving, it's not like going and buying a can of foam and a cart razor and going and rub it all over your face. And that's not why we do this. We use the DEs and the SEs and the straights because they harken back to a different time when people were more in control of things, and you have to learn to use the angle, you have to learn technique and stuff like that. And we want to learn all the technique to use the different razors and stuff like that, but I don't want to take time to learn how to actually lather a hard soap, or I don't want to take time to actually learn an X stroke, which you don't have to use. You can use a windshield wiper stroke, or there's something called a diagonal stroke where you don't really need an X stroke. That's just something people insist on, either because they are more ingrained into traditional ways of doing things, or because they're more a fan of that 3-inch drop. Okay? There are techniques that you can use on a 2-inch strop that don't have anything to do with an X stroke that'll work just fine. So I'm just saying, we want to take the easy way out all the time. Challenge yourself. Find something hard. Find something that's difficult for you that you know a great many wet shavers enjoy and do with no problem. Learn how to do it. First of all, you'll be proud of yourself, and second of all, it's a technique that you will take with you for the rest of your shaving life, and it'll open up your mind about a lot of other things along the way. So, I mean, newbies, that's my advice to you. Don't take the easy way out all the time. Learn technique, not just the technique of how to use your razor, but learn the technique for lathering. Learn the technique for loading a brush. Learn. Don't say, well, it's too hard for me. I'm going to go find this easy thing to do. Because 9 months, 6 months, 8 months, 10 months down the road, you're going to want to know how to lather that hard soap, but you haven't took time to learn it. And you're going, well, I've spent 10 months or however long shaving, and I can't get this to work. And knuckle under now. Learn the techniques solid. See, the thing of it is look, there's techniques for shaving, angle, pressure, different kinds of strokes and cuts. There's technique if you use a straight razor for stropping. There's technique for loading a brush and making lather on a face or in a bowl. Okay? These are all basic techniques that you should learn starting out. You shouldn't just learn 1 or 2 different types of techniques and find an easy way to do everything else. You should be solid in your shaving, in your loading and a brush and making lather. If you use a straight razor, you should learn proper stropping techniques. Now, in the beginning, every thing that we do, every skill that we learn, whether it's playing a musical instrument, martial arts, which are the 2 things I know the most about, whatever it is, okay, you learn basic techniques first. Heck, to earn my black belt, I had to spend almost a year just focusing on basic techniques before I was able to advance any further to get into anything more technical, because those basic techniques had to be ingrained into my body, not just my mind, but instinctively my body had to learn to move a certain way, instinctively, without conscious thought. And those basics had to be, it's the same thing with playing an instrument like guitar. Okay, I had to learn all the basic chords and how to form them with my hands and how to change between them while I'm playing, basic rhythms and stuff. They all had to be learned first before I could do anything else. You see me on some of my music stuff here wailing away on the guitar. Okay, I didn't learn that first. That came last. All the basic stuff came first. And so what I'm telling you is that shaving is no different. There are basic techniques that everyone should know. And they should learn first. That's why I go against the grain a lot of times. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'll recommend a soft soap like Razor Rock. But most of the time to a beginner, I'll recommend a hard soap. Because I think you ought to learn to lather a hard soap first. Anyway, don't always take the easy way out. You'll find out that there's a lot of enjoyment and a lot of reward in knuckling under and just learning things that you should know. So, all right. Sorry for the rant. God bless you. Later.